So something happened. Maybe it was a phone call, maybe it was a visit where you walked in and just knew something was off. Mom wasn't quite right, Dad was quieter than usual, the house was a little more chaotic than it needed to be. And now you're here at whatever hour this is, searching for answers because you don't even know what the right questions are yet. That's okay. You're in the right place. I'm going to walk you through the options that actually exist in New Hampshire when a parent can't live alone anymore. Not a lecture, not a checklist, just real conversation about what's out there and how families figure this out. My name is Hannah. I work in real estate in New Hampshire, specifically with adults who are navigating housing transitions later in life, and with the families who are helping them get there. Before real estate, I spent about 2 years working directly with older adults as a caregiver. So when I say I've seen what this looks like up close, I mean that literally. I hold 2 designations that are specific to this work: the SRES, which is the Seniors Real Estate Specialist, and the CRTS, which stands for Certified Relocation and Transition Specialist. I mention those not to impress you, but because they're the reason I know what I know about this particular corner of the process. This comes up constantly in my conversations with families. The moment where something shifts and suddenly everyone is scrambling to figure out what happens next. If that's where you are right now, I would love to just talk. No agenda, no sales pitch. There's a link in the description to schedule a call with me whenever you're ready. Here's what I see happen a lot. Families notice something like a fall or a diagnosis or a close call, and suddenly they're trying to make a major decision in a very short window of time. And they're doing it without a clear picture of what's even possible. Part of that is because nobody really teaches you this stuff. It's not like there's a class called
What to do when your parent needs more help than you can give them.
You just find yourself in the middle of it, trying to figure it out while also managing your own life. And in New Hampshire specifically, there are more options than most people realize. That's the point of this video, not to tell you what to do, just to make sure you know what exists. I want to tell you about 2 of my neighbors. Their names are Mike and Sue, and if you've already watched my New Hampshire Neighbors playlist, you may have already met them and gotten to know them pretty well. Throughout their 50s and 60s, Mike and Sue have gone through this process with both sets of their parents. They went through it 2 different times, with different parents, different situations, and different outcomes. Mike's parents moved in with them after an emergency. Sue's parents moved into a smaller home and eventually into a nursing home. Mike and Sue were actually uniquely prepared for this because Sue had been a visiting hospice nurse for the majority of her career. However, they still were not prepared fully for what they were getting themselves into and how much help they would really need. Have you been through something like this with your own family? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. So let's talk about what the options actually are. There isn't one answer, there's a range. And where one family lands on the range depends on a few things: the parent's health, their finances, their preferences, and honestly how much the family can realistically take on. The first option most families consider is keeping a parent at home with more support. This might mean bringing in help, like a home health aide, regular check-ins, meal delivery. In New Hampshire, there are organizations that help coordinate exactly this. I've got a whole separate video about the resources available in the Concord area specifically, and I'll link that in the description, and it's also right here. The second option is a 55+ community or independent living situation. This works well when a parent is still pretty independent, but maybe the house is too much, or they're isolated, or they just need a change that puts them around other people. These communities vary a lot in what they offer and what they cost, and I've covered several of them in my Senior Living Options in New Hampshire playlist, which is right here. The third option is assisted living. This is set up in terms of support: meals, medication management, help with daily activities. There are assisted living communities throughout the Concord area and across New Hampshire. The fourth option is a continuing care retirement community or a life plan community. These are places where someone can move in at one level of need and stay as their needs change over time. They tend to require more financial planning up front. And then there's the option of moving in with family, which can be the right call, but it can also be an enormous undertaking. Most families underestimate it until they're in it. None of these options is automatically right. Most families end up somewhere they didn't expect when they started. Do you agree? Or has your family landed somewhere different that I haven't mentioned? Tell me in the comments. So there are a few things that actually help when you're trying to figure out which direction makes sense. Start with what the parent wants. People make better transitions when they feel like they have some sense of control. I know that's easier said than done, but it matters. Then get a realistic picture of what things cost before you fall in love with any particular option. Costs vary significantly depending on the level of care, the location, and the community. Another idea is talking to someone who knows the local options, not just the internet, someone who has actually been inside these places, knows the communities, and can help you think through what fits your specific situation. That's part of what I do. One more thing before I go. If you are in the middle of this right now, and I mean really in the middle of it, where you don't even know where to start, and you're so overwhelmed that you want to cry, or maybe you already are crying, just know that you are not alone in this. There are people whose entire job is to help families through exactly what you're going through. Social workers, geriatric care managers, transition specialists, elder law attorneys, and there are resources in New Hampshire that most people don't even know about until someone points them out. I'm one of the people who can help point them out. If you need anything, even just to talk through where you are, call me, 603-573-6969. My door is always open. Next Monday, I'm talking about something that comes right after the options conversation for a lot of families. How do you actually pay for any of this? What does Medicare cover? What doesn't it cover? And what do New Hampshire families like you do when there's a gap? That's coming out next Monday. I'll see you then. Take care of yourself too. I mean it. No. No? My gosh. No, that's not good. This is wait. The third option